transmission side of the truck. Jim Wallace invited me down to present the product. You guys are taking on 5 what we call Smart Advantage powered units today. Now, Smart Advantage is a collaborative effort between Cummins Engine Company and ourselves to match the powertrain components for the best fuel economy. So typically, the most fuel economical transmission offering has been direct drive, very, very fast axle ratio, and when we're coupled in direct drive, we're just transmitting power through the gearbox, right? It's not turning any gear sets, it's not powering any gear sets, so it's quite efficient. However, in the endeavor of engine downspeeding, there are some efficiencies to be had by slowing the engine down, right? So this product matches Cummins base-specific fuel curves to drive that engine speed down at cruise speed on the highway into the 1100 RPM range, that 1150, 1170. Okay? So that's very efficient on the engine side. It's a short step overdrive from direct, which is now 9th gear is direct. 10th gear is a 26% step. So a very small window there. Engine RPM, you guys can probably, based off whatever your road speed is, about 65 or so, 62. So you're probably seeing about low 1400s, right, cruising down the highway. We're pushing that down even further, right? We're pushing that down into the high 1100s. So fewer engine RPMs means fewer injections into a cylinder, right? We're putting less fuel in over the period of time that we're talking about operating the engine. So some huge efficiencies to be gained in that regard. The engine is what Cummins calls a Smart Torque 2, and it has a VAM program in it that manages vehicle acceleration and how it applies the fuel to the engine where it's needed. Okay, so we've gone from Smart Torque 1 to now Smart Torque 2. So we're looking at things like between the two of us, we share the grade that the vehicle's on. In other words, is it on a hill, is it level on level ground, versus the load. We can calculate how much load the tractor and trailer have. So we know by engine torque reporting and by grade how much horsepower the engine needs to make. And that's on the Cummins side of Smart Torque to adapt their output to the needs of the truck. Okay. So quite sophisticated integration between these two components, having this married up. So again, 26% step. Typically, a transmission, the cadence of steps from 1st through 10th gear has been in about the 40% range, right? About 40%. This 9-10 split is 26%, so a very small window. You'll see a lot of active shifting between 10th and 9th, 9th and 10th as you start to pull grades and then level off and engine demand drops. We're going to kick it back up into 10th and let that engine loaf a little bit down there in the 1100s again. As soon as we see the need for power, we're going to downshift it to 9th and let you go on. Okay. So you'll see that shuttling back and forth more than you would today, right? If you were driving an automated product today, it's more than you would be shifting your transmission today. So the beauty of automation is, you know, if you think about those splits, the 40%, 40%, that's like a staircase for the engine, right? And if you and I were walking up steps and we got to a step that's half of the step, we'd probably stumble and fall. But when we've got a computer controlling this, what difference does it make, right? We're going to make the shifts when we need to. And I say that because that shift, that split is also in the 5-6 split too. Okay, so 5 to 6 has that same 26% split. But with a computer making the steps, it knows what the next step is, so it just marks them off. Several features that are incorporated into the transmission side of this, beyond the integration with the engine. We have what we call hill start aid. We have low mode on the shift console. Are these push button shifters?
Yes.
Okay. So you'll have a reverse, neutral, drive, low, and manual or hold. Okay. I'm not sure what terminology you've got, but manual and hold are the same, same thing, based on how we have the transmission programmed. Okay. So when you first power this unit up and select gear, okay, we're going to have foot on the brake to put it into gear, and the default setting is going to be second gear. We do allow you to take off in third gear if you like. At that point, when you see a 2, you can arrow button up to 3, right? Just like you would if you were bobtailing your truck around today. You don't always take off in first gear, do you? You pick a more suitable gear to start. We will allow you to go to the third gear to launch. And we will remember, if you tell us to go to third gear, we will remember third gear until you turn the key off at the end of your cycle, okay? And then we resume to the default second gear start. We have a program in the non-volatile memory, ECU. So with that in mind, if you select third gear to launch and you're stopped on a grade, we can measure the grade again. We've already measured the load, and we'll calculate if it's safe for you to start in third gear. If not, you'll see us in second gear. Right? Or if the grade's really steep, you might see us pick first gear. Okay? Without you having to do anything. Automatically, right, right. It's just a driveline protection, right? We want this to be a safe product. We don't want any selection that we might offer you to cause damage, right? So we have these protections designed into this to automatically put it into a more suitable start gear. But again, you can leave it in third gear launch all day long if you like, provided the grade and load don't dictate the lower gear. We'll launch in third gear, and we'll launch in third gear with 80,000 pounds. So there's nothing detrimental at all about that. So keep that in mind as you go. There is what we call creep mode, and we can talk a little bit more about creep mode, hold mode, and hill start aid after I show you a little video clip. Okay, it's going to touch on a little bit of that stuff as we go, but I'd like to kind of get the features and benefits out there, and there's a little talk about driveline protection at the end of this too. So we can keep on.
Welcome to the Eaton UltraShift Plus and Fuller Advantage Series automated transmission features and benefits presentation. Before we get started, please keep in mind that there are a number of different types of shift controllers depending on your vehicle make and model. Contact your vehicle manufacturer for specific details. There are many differences that make up the Plus in the UltraShift Plus over its predecessor, the UltraShift. The addition of an electronic clutch actuator is the key. The electronically activated clutch enhances low-speed maneuverability and offers much more driver control. The ECA is also on the Fuller Advantage series. So let's dive right into some of the most exciting features of Eaton's automated transmissions. One of my favorite features is Hill Start Aid. Hill Start Aid prevents the vehicle from rolling in an unintended direction for up to 3 seconds before it times out. The driver can accelerate at any time during that 3-second period. Hill Start Aid is automatically enabled when your vehicle is facing uphill on an incline greater than 1% and is in a forward gear. Bring the vehicle to a stop by pressing the service brakes and then releasing them. At that point, the driver has 3 seconds to launch the vehicle without rolling back. Again, you can accelerate immediately or any time during that 3-second period. Similarly, when the vehicle is facing downhill on a decline greater than 1%, Hill Start Aid is automatically enabled while in reverse mode. Bring the vehicle to a stop by pressing and then releasing the service brakes. As before, you have 3 seconds to launch the vehicle before the Hill Start Aid times out. You can apply the throttle right away or any time during that 3 seconds, and Hill Start Aid will prevent the truck from rolling forward. Another Eaton automated transmission feature is the...
Let's talk a little bit about Hill Start Aid now. so that everyone understands what we're talking about in an unintended direction, right? Prevent rolling in an unintended direction. So if you're in drive and you're going uphill, it's going to prevent you from rolling backwards when you take your foot off the brake, right? If you're in drive facing downhill, is hill start aid going to work? No. Someone said no. And you're right. Because we see drive, you're wanting to go forward. When you let off the brake, we're going to let you start rolling forward. And when you throttle, we're going to pick it up and go. Okay? Same thing in reverse. If you're backing up a hill and stop, we're going to prevent you from rolling forward. Right? If you're backing down a hill, we're going to let the truck go as soon as you take your foot off the brake. Does that have logic for everyone?
That's over 3 seconds.
The hill start aid only works for 3 seconds, right? So if you're, one thing I dislike about this video is it says bring this truck to a stop and take your foot off the brake pedal. You don't take your foot off the brake until you're ready to go. Okay, if the light's red, you just hold your foot on the brake. The 3-second timer starts when you remove your foot from the brake, or if you apply throttle, we let the truck go as soon as we see an urge to move. So as soon as the clutch starts to roll in, we'll drop the hill start aid, which is the foundation brakes on the truck, so that everyone is aware. What we're really doing is telling the ABS ECU not to release that air that's on the brake chambers, okay, until we tell it to, or 3 seconds expires. After the 3 seconds, we will let the brakes disengage, and we'll start bumping the clutch. If you're in drive going uphill and we release the brakes and the truck starts to roll back, we'll start bumping the clutch, which will shake the truck to let you know, hey, there's something going on wrong, right? So another little feature that we have to tell you to either get on the throttle or get back on the brake. Okay? All good?
So that's, for some of the inclines, when you're in a lot of traffic, you may have to do that more than once. So automatic does each time.
Every time you stop, right? 1% grade or greater, which isn't much of a grade, right? When we first launched this, it was 3%, which was a relatively notable slope. 1%, if you're on any kind of a hill, you're going to see it working.
You got sometimes, you got people that, they don't understand that these trucks with 40,000 pounds on will roll back, maybe right up on the bumpers.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
that's- So that's what, you see it, I'm saying, see it.
You'll love this. I mean, it will not roll backwards. If you take your foot off the brake and just get on the throttle, within that 3 seconds, it launches going forward. So, yeah, you're going to like that.
Clutch abuse protection. If the clutch starts to overheat, a CA will appear in the driver display with a warning tone. When this happens, full clutch actuation must be completed quickly. If not, the system will either open the clutch if the throttle is not applied, or close the clutch if the throttle is applied. If the abuse continues, the system will open the clutch and remove throttle control briefly to allow the clutch to cool down. Another Eaton automated transmission feature is engine overspeed protection. The transmission system automatically upshifts when necessary to prevent engine overspeed in drive, manual, and low modes. Shuttle shifting is another nice feature of the Eaton automated transmission. Shuttle shifting from reverse to any forward mode is allowed if the vehicle speed is at or near zero. The system also offers skip shifting. When appropriate, the transmission may skip shift when in drive mode. On grades which require more power to maintain a constant vehicle speed, Fuller Advantage automated transmissions use small step technology to quickly shift to a lower gear. This may seem early, but it's normal. There's a smaller ratio step between the direct drive 9th and overdrive 10th gears, so the transmission downshifts earlier. Even in direct drive 9th gear, the transmission maintains a fuel-efficient engine RPM range. Another cool automated transmission feature is auto neutral. If the vehicle is left in drive with the parking brake set, the system will automatically shift into neutral. When auto neutral occurs, the letters A and N driver must select neutral first, then select the desired forward or reverse mode. Eaton automated transmissions also allow the driver to adjust the start gear default based on weight. If the second gear default is too sluggish for your load, you can change the start gear default to suit your needs. The final feature I'd like to discuss today is creep mode operation. When operating in creep mode, the transmission system will maintain the current gear while the vehicle is at idle. This feature saves your clutch from overheating when in heavy stopping mode traffic. To activate creep mode, simply select manual mode. The default setting for creep mode to operate while in drive is disabled for line haul applications. Creep mode can be engaged while moving simply by selecting manual mode and easing off the throttle. Creep mode can be entered as traffic is slowing and does not need to be enabled from a complete stop. Next, apply the throttle until you feel the clutch engage. Then slowly release the throttle pedal. Remove your foot from the throttle and allow the vehicle to idle in gear. To exit from creep mode, simply apply the throttle or press the service brake. I hope you've enjoyed this brief overview of the operation of these key features of the Eaton UltraShift Plus transmission and Fuller Advantage automated transmissions. Next is a short video.
So any questions about what you've just seen on the other features, the creep mode?
When you were talking about going up the hill, you guys are measuring the grade. Are you using the ABS system to measure the grade, or do you have your own system?
We have our own accelerometer in the ECU. It's calibrated when the truck is built, so it knows zero after the transmission is installed. We don't know what the installed engine angle might be, which is the same as the transmission. So when the manufacturer builds it, they calibrate that grade sensor to zero on the level surface. So yeah, that's ours.
Hey, Jack, on creep mode,
Yep.
I didn't really catch on it. That main purpose is for real slow traffic where you're just gonna have to just slowly but surely go along and you leave your foot off the accelerator?
Right. You're just kind of idling along in neutral, or not in neutral, but idling along in gear, right? Or you launch it in first gear, second gear.
Put there manual, you set where you need it, and you get that.
For line haul, right.
Okay.
Select manual on the shift pad, right? And then if you're in second gear, launch the truck, and as soon as it gets launched, take your foot off the throttle, and it'll just crawl along in second gear.
So it's kind of like a cruise control at real slow speed over
Very slow speed, yeah. Works really good in heavy traffic, where you're just kind of making your way past an accident scene and everything's moving, but it's just crawling along. So you're not constantly having to launch the truck and stop the truck, launch the truck and stop the truck. Pick the appropriate gear, put it in manual, and just creep along with traffic. If your pace is too fast, step on the brake, it comes right out of creep, right? If your pace is too slow, you can get on the accelerator and speed up. As soon as it slows down, you can slow it right back down. It'll fall right back into creep mode for you. So pretty handy little deal for slowly moving. We don't do that in line haul. That feature primarily is for vocational units that are like cement mixers that are pouring curbing and that kind of thing. So it'll just crawl along with whatever's laying asphalt or concrete. So, but it works really well in heavy traffic too. So if you get stuck behind a parade, you know what to do.
When you were talking, when I was talking about the shutting down in gear,
Yes.
it will cut itself to automatic neutral.
Auto neutral, right. So our trigger is the park brake, right? When we see park brake signal and we're in gear, we're going to automatically put the transmission into neutral. We can't put the shift control into neutral. You guys do that, right? So if you forget, when you set the park brake, before you turn the key off, right? When we see park brake set, we go into neutral ourselves. And what it was saying up here was to get around that auto neutral, you need to synchronize the shifter with us and put it in neutral before you can go into drive or reverse.
A while back, on the auto shifters, they go into neutral
Right.
and cause the truck to shut off in gear. I had problems running up.
Get torque lock, right?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I haven't drove a stick shift in 13 years, but I've always been on the heat shifter. And I found that the heat shifter was the easiest way to go. It had some problems from the beginning, but it's gotten a whole lot. I don't want to snap the truck.
Feedback, right? I mean, that's where we developed some of these features. The Hillstar Day, the auto neutral, it was from somebody's not satisfied, right? Hey, why didn't it do this? Or
Right.
when this happens, I'm stuck. You know, I gotta roll the truck to get it unstuck. So we listen, right? We adapt to the needs, and we hear your pain, and we try to.
I found the best thing to do with the auto shifter is to put it in drive, put it in reverse, put it in neutral. Don't manual it, don't do nothing. The brain box doing all the work.
Quite frankly, that is the right answer. That's exactly right. Drive is there. All of the engineering work has been done, guys. The homework is behind us. So the shift points are predetermined where they're most economical and in the power curve, right? There's RPM, and then there's torque, right? There's horsepower and torque. And where those cross is where we want this thing operating to be efficient. And we base our shift points off of what Cummins Engineering says the engine needs to be operating in. Right? So those, if you're out thinking and trying to drive it in manual, you're you're spending your time trying to make a problem that's already been solved, and you're really hurting yourself. So I want to talk about throttle pedal position too. You know, typically, and I may be as guilty as anyone, I drive automated products with my foot down, right? Because it's going to shift itself. I just want to go. Right? However, testing and timing with a stopwatch has shown that if we soft pedal this, at half throttle to 3/4 throttle, we actually get across intersections and up to speed quicker than we do at full throttle, because we're not waiting for those long splits, that engine RPM to fall back and synchronize for the next shift to pick up. We're basically short shifting every gear, and then in the 10th gear. So, another freight company that runs thousands of these has helped us with this. They put 2 drivers in a truck and go test this. And with 3/4 throttle, we're 4 seconds quicker getting into 5th gear than we are at full throttle. And this is with them running the timers and driving the truck. So totally independent of anything. This isn't Jack Hinchel's test. This is and FedEx Freight is the guys that are doing this. So they've proven this concept out, and hopefully you guys will try to sort that out yourselves. Yeah. I'd like to hear what your results are. What else did they have to say? Anything else? Anything else?
Is this new electronic clutch actuation you got going on here?
Yes.
Is that gonna be, with our trucks, you gotta get about a third of the way on the throttle before you get the truck moving.
Right.
Is it gonna be a little bit more smoother, more efficient?
Incredibly smooth. So, yeah. DM clutch, question is about clutch actuation. Some of you guys, and apparently you've driven automation, you're familiar with DM and how we need engine RPM up, 800-900 RPM before we start to feather the clutch in. This is immediate. When we see throttle input, we start to roll that clutch in. Basically, we start to take our foot off the clutch pedal, just like you would, right? So it is very, very quick, very smooth, very controlled. I would like to say too, and we're gonna go drive here shortly, and I want to talk to you about some of the things, see if we can find a slope to put Hillstar 8 into play. Backing under a trailer is something for you guys to remember in case someone comes in on the yard and says, hey, I'm hitting my key bit too hard. Very light throttle application in reverse, and just give it time to make a move, okay? We have different algorithms in reverse. We control engine torque going backwards a lot more than we do going forward. So wait on that to drag that clutch in and start moving. and you can just slide right up to the kingpin and latch it. Prior to having a discussion like this with any drivers, the typical response was in reverse, to start down on the throttle and it happened immediately, so more throttle input, and then off to the races. Yeah, yeah. So just a coach your patience there, light throttle, and you'll hook up like a pro. Okay. So I'll restart the video. There's a couple of statements about driveline protection and so forth that I want you to listen to, and then we can.
Video containing critical information to make your job easier and protect your drivetrain. There are a few critical operational differences between the UltraShift and the UltraShift Plus and Fuller Advantage automated transmissions that drivers must understand to avoid catastrophic clutch and driveline failure. First, always avoid two-footing. Never apply the throttle and the brake at the same time. Do not improperly slide the trailer tandems. Consult your fleet professional for their recommendations. Unlike the UltraShift, which requires more engine acceleration in reverse, the UltraShift Plus and Fuller Advantage series only requires slight throttle pressure when backing up your vehicle. Do not continually accelerate when sliding the tractor fifth wheel or engaging the fifth wheel with the trailer kingpin. The driver should let off the accelerator halfway to the kingpin engagement. Even though the transmission uses an electric clutch actuator to launch the vehicle, the clutch can still overheat and slip with improper use. This can occur not only on inclines, but in normal traffic congestion if the driver is continually applying and releasing the accelerator. Do not slam into a loading dock. Once again, unlike the UltraShift, with the UltraShift Plus, you barely need to touch the throttle to move in reverse. Feathering the accelerator when close to the loading dock is recommended. Performing any of these practices improperly can result in catastrophic driveline failure when operating the latest Eaton automated transmissions. So let's review these critical warnings to ensure you avoid catastrophic damage to the clutch and drive shaft. Always avoid two-footing. Do not improperly slide the trailer tandems. Do not continually accelerate when sliding the tractor fifth wheel. Do not overheat the clutch. Continually applying and releasing the accelerator is clutch abuse. And lastly, do not slam into a loading dock. Feather the accelerator when near the loading dock. For complete information about the UltraShift Plus and Fuller Advantage series automated transmissions, please refer to the long-form driver operation manuals, TRDR 1110, UltraShift Plus, and TR.
Okay, we talked about clutch abuse in the first video, and for the first half of it, and then we touched on it again here. Have you ever seen a CA come up in your driver display? Okay, so clutch abuse is just that. Okay, we have an algorithm in the ECU that calculates the heat going into the clutch based off of engine torque reporting and vehicle speed. So if we see a lot of torque being reported to us and no vehicle speed, that equates to clutch being slipped, dragged, right? So we start a timer and we calculate how many BTUs are going into that clutch. And at some point, we start telling you with that CA and a tone in the cab, hey, you're starting to abuse the clutch, right? Either get on the throttle or get off the throttle. Keep doing that, we will eventually pull the engine RPM away and let the clutch cool off. So the prevention for that is to just not slip the clutch. Just when you want to go, you go. When you don't, you stop. So I guess that's really all I need to talk about that. It takes a long time to put that much heat in a clutch. It takes even longer with the Plus than it did with the DM, because the DM required a lot of engine RPM to get up there. The Plus, we close the clutch when you step on the throttle. Okay, so we're closing that pretty quickly. But if you were just bumping the throttle and bumping the brake, bumping the throttle, bumping the brake, you could get there. Right? The two-footing thing, you get that, right? We have a couple of signals to open the clutch, right? And the brake is one of those. When we bring the vehicle to a stop, we open our clutch, right? The way the truck doesn't continue to pull. The engine can also make us open the clutch. When we're talking about slamming into the dock, we have stall prevention engineered into our ECU. When we see the engine RPM dip, like you jammed into a dock and the engine RPM's just falling, we'll pop the clutch open to protect that. So we talk a little bit about driveline protection. I don't want you to be overly concerned with what we're talking about there. Okay? I've not seen a driveline fail because of slamming a dock, but it can create a lot of other issues. Okay? You can break the transmission by jamming. So that with your FR product right now.
Or the driveline, or the rear axle.
Yeah. A number of
All
things,
of those.
right? So common sense, it's just kind of about preventing the abuse we can prevent, right? We're going to do our part electronically to protect our side of it and help you be successful. And they've engineered a lot of safety features into this product. So
Chad, a lot of guys in our older style auto ships, they would use R2 when backing. Is that very necessary now or no?
it's not necessary. It's available. They can still do that.
They would say that they wouldn't jerk as much when they were in R2, and it's a lot easier to back.
Yeah.
The majority of guys still do that.
Okay. I've not heard that R2 solved that, but I can kind of see it's a higher ratio, right? So the clutch can't be quite as aggressive in launch control. It's just a taller step. So we're fighting against more leverage. But this, I think you'll find it's quite satisfactory in straight reverse. And again, that's going to be part of our exercise here shortly to go drive.
Drive, neutral, reverse, that's all you need.
That's all you need. Now, do you have engine brakes? Okay. Low mode. Okay. There's low mode on the console. What does that do? It actually puts the transmission in the lowest possible gear that we can safely achieve, right, without overspeeding the engine. That's what we call safe, to enhance engine braking. So if you're on a grade, coming downhill, your engine brake's on, still gaining speed, put it in low. We're going to put it in the lowest gear possible. Your engine RPM is going to come up, which is where your engine brakes are most efficient, right? And slow the truck down. It will not upshift in low. So don't think, hey, I can drive this thing in low gear and it'll be tacking out all the time. It won't. It'll be only downshift in low, okay? And for stopping the truck with the engine brake. Keep that in mind. It's a great feature. I wholeheartedly endorse the reverse neutral drive concept because
I
that's,
don't even put it in the manual gear going down the hill.
yeah,
I just use engine brake and drive.
yeah. Okay. Well, it's there. If your truck still speeds up,
Use brake, you gotta let it fall.
well, you can, yeah. But low will help. I don't know. Brakes are an expense too. So and that's kind of why engine brakes were developed, to save brake lining wear, drum wear, now disc wear, pad wear. So it's there and it works very well. I encourage you to give that a try. So that really, guys, is the end of my presentation here. I would say that this video, basically every video we've got on this, there are several different iterations of driver information and operation and so forth. They are all available at this website, roadranger.com. roadranger.com. You can feel free to browse through that.
So for the guys that have been driving the automated, biggest difference we're going to see is additional features. They didn't have it before.
Auto neutral. You'll start the drivability. The electronic clutch actuator makes this just very intuitive to drive. So it's extremely user friendly.
The other big difference is going to be is what their tachometer
yeah, if you're at like Rolling Hills, you'll see shuttling back from 10th to 9th, 9th to 10th, 10th to 9th, 9th to 10th. That's typical, okay? That's absolutely normal operation. You're picking, we in the engine are picking the right gear for that to be in for fuel economy and power.
I don't know, usually, when did you see your test? As far as wear and all that?
There's been nothing. I mean, the transmission is robust. We've had a few ECAs come off, you know, with something didn't get plugged in very good at the factory. So early on in production, we saw some of that water intrusion. But in the days of the XY, the harness, that kind of stuff, it's over. Yeah.
Y'all did away with that manual clutch that's in those trucks.
Yes, it's no longer being marketed, right?
Yeah,
We
I know.
haven't completely done away with it from an aftermarket aspect. But yeah, that's, this is, in that good, better, best scenario, this took that one right out of the marketplace. There was no need to continue.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. So you've had the broken leg and the pins and so
Yeah,
forth,
I
yeah.
had road leg, and I'm glad y'all did that clutch.
Yeah.
Clutch is killing me. I'm going back from California and get in that traffic and out the clutch and you know, whole leg gets trimmed.
Yeah, yeah. Mine hadn't been broken, and mine will do that. Okay. Any other questions? You guys ready to do a little driving?
Ready to feel that.
I'm ready for it.
Got a new truck now.
Very good. Well, guys, I want to thank you all for being here. Is there anyone that doesn't have my contact info? That I've got cards here that I'll hand you right now. I know most of you know how to get a hold of me when you need something, so. Okay, good. Well, thank you. Appreciate you making time for this. Thanks, Jeff. Thank you.
You already got you, right?
You got, oh, sorry,